The second half. Shelley, can you do roll call for us, please?
Yes, sir. Joshua Sam,
Here.
Johnny Kidwell, Sasha Black Box Qualls, Danny Callison, Julia Coates, Joe Deere,
Here.
Mike Dobbins, Kevin Easley, Lisa Hall,
Here.
Daryl Legg, Dora Petzkowski, Cody Poindexter, Mike Shambaugh, Melvina Shot Pouch, E.O. Smith, Kendessa Teehee, Victoria Vasquez. We have a quorum.
All right, thank you, Shelley. All right, let's start again, and just want to make a reminder, just to help with the flow of everything, keep questions budget-based. So I appreciate everyone. We've had some great questions, some great conversation, but just want to just have a little quick reminder there. We'll go as fast as we can and as slow as we need to. So appreciate everyone here. So let's start with the Election Commission first. Marcus is here. They said they have some shortness of staff over there, so let's squeeze them in real quick so he can get back over there.
Good afternoon. I appreciate you guys letting us step in a little bit early. How are you guys doing?
Doing good.
Good. It's good to see the new faces. And I'll keep this short and sweet. We've got a not an election year this year, so our budget's a lot lower. So if you guys have any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer them for you.
All right, do we have any questions for Marcus? All right, looks like you're good to go. Appreciate you, sir.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
All right, let's see. Let's go ahead and move to government resources. Got any folks with government resources?
Real estate services.
Yeah, we can start with real estate services. Yep.
I believe you have a copy of the budgets, and if you have any questions, I will be happy to address them.
Do we have any questions for Ginger? No. Doesn't look like we have any. Thank you, Ginger.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
All right. See, anyone else with government resources? Shauna Miles? Got Scott Oughton? All right, we'll circle back. Do we got Gaming Commission with Janice Purcell here? All right.
Good afternoon. I submitted my budget. Does anyone have any questions?
Do we have any questions for Gaming Commission? Nope, doesn't look like it. Thank you, Janice.
Thank you so much.
All right. Let's see. We got anyone here for IT? All right.
Good afternoon. It's probably not often that you hear someone say it's a dream come true to attend a budget hearing. And I may be the first to say it, but it is a dream come true for me today to stand before you and to serve the nation in the capacity of Chief Information Officer and to represent the fine men and women of Cherokee Nation IT. So I'm hoping to do them great service today. I'm incredibly proud of our department. So I did want to say a few things. I know typically we say, do you have questions? And that's the end of it, but I did want to say a few things. Cherokee values tell us to live resourcefully, to be skilled, and I think that's important across all departments of Cherokee Nation, but especially so with Cherokee Nation IT. So for you today, you may be using technology that didn't exist a year ago. You may be using technology that you weren't aware of a year ago. It is incumbent upon IT departments all across the world to keep up with that rate of change, and we are in the most rapid rate of technological change in our history. It is also incumbent upon Cherokee Nation IT, of course, to keep up with that change. So the ways that we plan to meet that and to go into the future are, of course, spending on resources, on tools, on technology, but also investing in our people, making sure that we are upskilling our people and making sure that they're prepared for the change that is coming. When it comes to resourcefulness, you know, I've worked in many IT departments, some that were much larger than this one, some that have supported up to 40,000 employees and even more customers. But this department is incredibly agile and more engaged and attuned to meet the future than any other IT department that I have ever worked with, and we are extremely resourceful with what is given to us. I did want to thank you because over the past couple of years, I feel like we have had a great investment from this council and from this administration to help us grow and to help us keep up with that rate of change, and we hope to continue to do so. So with that being said, the values that I spoke of are reflected in the building of this budget, the need to meet the rate of change, the need to upskill our employees, and also the need to be resourceful. And with that, I open it up to any questions.
All right, do we have any questions for IT? Candessa?
Well, welcome this afternoon. It is
Thank
great
you.
to hear from IT, and it's also great to hear about your philosophy and approach to not only management, but administration of IT resources. So I really appreciate you sharing that. And also welcome in as, I believe, the new executive director? Is
Yes,
that-
that's correct.
Okay. An award-winning individual in IT, I might also point out. So I had a few questions, and one of those is about, and I understand, you know, we are supposed to stick with budgeting questions, but you represent one of the departments. We only get to see you during the budgeting process. You know, we have made, I know I have, and I think a couple of other counselors have made requests to hear from IT perhaps with, alongside the same committee where Human Services reports, because we see so many different programs that are being moved into the Gadugi portal. So I wanted to ask you to speak a little bit to the Gadugi portal and about how our staff is addressing kind of the influx of bringing new programs into that kind of electronic application system, and whether, you know, you have the, I don't want to say adequate, because I know everybody in IT is the lifeblood of this organization, and every employee works extremely hard. So, you know, in a flat budget year, how are you and your staff seeking to kind of meet the challenges of bringing new programs online while continuing to have a flat budget and kind of a static number of staff?
Yeah, so we actually had a large increase in our Gadugi Portal call center budget. So you may have seen that reflected. And the reason that's so large is because it got divided out. We had all that budget underneath one of our other AUs. It has split out into its own budget this year. And so you will see there's a great increase there. So there was an increased amount of funding for Gadugi Portal, but you're correct. I mean, we are moving more and more programs in. There are new initiatives that get rolled out that I can't even imagine us trying to roll out without Gadugi Portal. Gadugi Core is one of those. You know, we're meeting this afternoon to talk about putting out a survey for Gadugi Core, being able to connect citizens with volunteer opportunities through the portal. Emergency relief, some of those programs, you think about the at-large citizens who are impacted by natural disasters, we absolutely would not be able to have that, to address those needs without Gadugi Portal.
Great, great. Well, thank you for highlighting that increase in that Gadugi Portal budget. On that note, is there potential, and I understand this would take coordination with executive admin, but is there a potential for, say, a creation of a ticketing system where we as counselors would be able to refer something and have it kind of go to the appropriate person and then have us in some type of general way see where, see kind of how that was resolved. It was, this is kind of a point that was brought up by the distinguished counselor from Stillwell earlier, that oftentimes we hear about an issue where something needs to be addressed, but we don't often see that resolution. And the resolution happens, we just aren't aware of it.
We do have the technology for that, and we've laid the foundation for it. So, again, I hate to keep saying it again and again, but Gadoogie Portal, again, we have all these requests that are already tied to citizens within the portal. So that absolutely lays the foundation for us to put other requests through and to attach those to citizens, and we would have one central place to track those requests.
Great, thank you for acknowledging that is a possibility. I understand that it's going to require other coordinating efforts outside of IT. Earlier, I asked a question of Dr. Jones about health IT and kind of the way that works. Is that like a separate unit? Is that something that is under IT as a whole in general? How does that coordination work between non-health IT and kind of health IT?
Yes, so there are two different IT groups. They both report up through government. So government IT reports up through me as CIO of Cherokee Nation Government. Health IT reports up through Todd Gord, and I think Dr. Jones referenced Mr. Gord earlier today.
Yeah.
But they do report up through Todd Gord, who also reports to Chief of Staff. He's the executive CIO of Health IT. So in the end, we all report up through to government.
Okay, great. And the last question I had was about talent development. So where in our budget might we see kind of the, or is that more of an HR question? Where my understanding of IT is that there are individuals who might be able to, say, go to a coding school and transition into IT directly, sometimes even right out of high school, into IT as a career field and maintain their skills and abilities by doing kind of not necessarily in service, but some of these, I'm not sure if they would be called vocational or like career services type programming. So is that something that IT currently engages in with talent development for bringing individuals into IT, either from the citizenry or from the community?
So our funding has been focused on a couple of areas in growth. So the first is our internal employees, making sure that they have the skills for modern technology. And then also, we've spent funding to educate the employees at large across Cherokee Nation Government. That's why we had our technology summit. There's this understanding that, yeah, we spend money on technology, but it doesn't do us any good if our employees aren't using it and don't know how to use it to its greatest capabilities. So we fund in those ways. Now, we did do a program with Deloitte over the past year that required no funding, and they are skilling citizens on Salesforce, which is what powers the Gadoogie portal. So I think right now we have 27 citizens who have attained their associate degree, their Salesforce associate degree, and they are working to get their admin certifications through a boot camp right now. And we did put priority on Cherokee veterans and those who came through the One Fire program. So we do have veterans and One Fire program survivors in that program. As we go forward, I really want to do more outreach. I see that as being an outlet of Gadoogie Corps. There are talented Cherokees in technology all across the world, and I get outreach all the time from those who want to give back, and I think Gadoogie Corps is the way that we do that, and we get out into the populations that are eager for that learning.
Well, that's fantastic. Those are great initiatives to hear about. And, I understand that having those unfunded initiatives where we are partnering with corporations, it's beneficial not just for us, but for the community when those kinds of things happen. And especially when they're not necessarily taking budget dollars, but they are having a real positive impact. So I appreciate you sharing those things, and I appreciate the time today, and I appreciate the time, Chair.
All right, thank you. Joe, or Cody? Cody?
I was looking at the budget here. What is MIS? I was reading the,
Yeah, so MIS is a separate health budget. So you'll see I think there's 5 AUs listed. Most of them are for government IT. MIS is a health IT budget.
okay. Yeah, I was just reading, it was the necessary, I guess, software and technology and stuff like that used for the health IT system.
Yep.
So I didn't see where it explained what MIS was itself, so I was just interested in what
Yeah,
that meant.
it does look a little cryptic, I agree.
So, all right, thank you.
All right, do we have any more questions for Paula? Sasha?
Thank you. I was looking at the AU for Kronos. Can you tell me if we have any upgrades coming up for that to make it more user-friendly?
Yeah, I'm really excited about that one. So yes, we have just been going through redlining on contracts to move to the cloud version of Kronos, which is called UKG Dimensions. And part of that will include advanced scheduling capabilities for health. I know today we do not give health the tools that they need to schedule anyone who works in our hospital and our clinics, but that is coming. And by the time I'm here next year, we will have that in place.
Wonderful. How about the capability to, like, auditing compliance, with time cards is a big thing for those 24-hour facility workers? Will they have the ability to use that from their phone to approve their
Yes.
time cards there?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Ability to approve time cards, ability to swap shifts, to do all kinds of things. It really is an amazing system. We demoed it to health, and health loved it. I think all of our employees are going to be pleasantly surprised with what they get out of that.
Thank you.
All right, any more questions for Paula? All right, doesn't look like it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, let's backpedal a little to government resources with Shauna Miles.
Good afternoon, council. You should have my report, or actually my budget, I apologize, my budget. I know that Delegate Teehee touched on both self-governance and government relations this morning. So if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer.
We have any questions for Shauna? Doesn't look like it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, and Scott cannot make it, so Tara Lee said she'd report on his.
Said I'd be happy to take questions for Mr. Otten. I understand. I understand he has a flat budget. I would be happy to get any clarifiers you need before end of day.
We have any questions on the evaluation and compliance budget?
Thank you.
Doesn't look like it. Thank you. All right, let's move on down to career services with Miss Diane Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and distinguished council members. You have my budget before you, and I'm very proud of it because most of it is federal dollars, and my staff are busy working on grants and trying to keep that money flowing, and the majority of our resources goes back out to our clients in the 14-county area. So we're very proud of the fact that we've got programs that we can provide services for our tribal members. Any questions?
You got any questions for Diane? All right.
Thank you.
Doesn't look like it. Thank you, Miss.
You guys have a good
You
afternoon.
too. All right. Let's see, do we have anyone here with the Housing Authority? I saw Todd earlier. I don't see him right now, so we can go ahead and move on to. Yeah, we'll move on to Sharon, yep. Sharon Swepson with the Tax Commission. Afternoon, how are you?
Is that on? Yes. I believe you have my budgets. There's not any major increases or decreases in them. We did add a few staff, which was the supervisors that I talked to you about earlier at the end of FY '23 for the sub-offices, but that's pretty much all that was added in there. So I try to answer any questions you might have.
We have any questions for Sharon? Oh, EO?
Just real quick, our tag sales are down. I thought it might be a good question for you. Why? What
I
would you
think a lot of it has, my opinion, okay? My opinion is that with interest rates going up and the economy a little tougher right now, and they have slid off just a little, but it's less than 2%, so we're hoping we will gain all that back, so. But I do think it has a lot to do with interest rates and stuff going up. And
All right, any more questions for Sharon? All right, don't look like it. Thank you.
Thank you.
See, let's go over to Secretary of Natural Resources. I think, yep, Christine's here.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
I believe you all have a copy of our budgets, and I'll be glad to answer any questions that you all might have.
We have any questions for Christina? Candace?
Well, welcome and
Thank you.
congratulations on the appointment as our
you.
new sonar.
Thank you so much.
I think that's one of my favorite titles to say. But I've seen the overwhelming response to the public hunt that was
Yes.
recently put forth through the Gadugi portal. So is this the first time that was put through on the Gadugi portal?
No, we've used the Gadugi portal every year that we've
Okay.
done the hunt. This year, they had a marketing tool that IT had recently developed or is utilizing. So we used that marketing tool, and it made a huge difference. So,
Fantastic.
yeah.
I just know how greatly the public responds to those public hunts. Is there a plan to increase those in the future?
So we're constantly looking at the property and what, the count is on the property and keeping conservation in mind and the quality of the hunts and the success rate for the hunters. So we're constantly looking at it. We'd like to expand that as time goes on, but we're not sure what that looks like at this moment.
Okay, so the main factor in determining the number of hunts and the number of participants in the hunt is truly sustainability?
Yes, conservation and sustainability for sure. That's our primary concern always.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you for
Thank you.
entertaining my question today, and thank you
Yes.
for the time, Chair.
All right, thank you. Any other questions for Christina? EO?
While you're here, what's the count right now? Is it over 3,000?
Yes, I think it's like 3,200 is where I think we're at. And Lane said we had like 30 to 40 states that had applied, so it's a lot.
Wow.
Yeah.
It ought to be leveling out though, shouldn't it?
Huh?
It ought to be leveling out by everybody.
Yeah, it's starting to slow down a little bit.
Okay, all right. All right, do we have any more questions? Oh, Danny?
Yes, ma'am. I know on your line item with the feral swine project, I noticed there's zeros across there.
That was grant.
Does that mean we're not doing that, or we don't apply the federal for that, or what?
So that grant ended. We're looking at continuing to seek opportunities to continue to fund that project, but we were able to buy all of the equipment necessary to perform those actions. So our conservation planner is actually performing those actions right now on our Sequoia Hunting Preserve. So it's sort of a pilot project right now. We bought all the equipment. He's performing those functions now, and then we'll analyze and evaluate and determine if we need to seek additional funding for that.
All right, any more questions?
If you need volunteers at the Sequoia land for that project right there, let me know.
Well, I will let Weston know, because I'm sure he'd love to have you tag along.
All right,
I
doesn't
will
look
not
like we
be
have any more
volunteering.
questions.
Thank you so much.
All right, let's move on over to language with Tanya Johnson.
Good afternoon. I believe you have language budgets, and I'd be glad to answer any questions you might have.
All right, do we have any questions for language? Candace?
Gosh.
Well, as I was reviewing the budget numbers, it looks like there's been a bit of a decrease overall in the funding from, with comparison from FY '23 to FY '24. And I was wondering if you would speak just a little bit to kind of that change in funding. Is it kind of related to kind of the ARPA funding? Is it kind of grant related, or is it just kind of a combination of factors?
It's a combination of both of those things. We have a couple of grants that are winding down, and of course, we have had a heavy ARPA budget, and those dollars are decreasing. So it's kind of a combination of both. But some of our other budgets have increased, so it's just a function of dollars leveling out, really.
Okay, great, because I do see that even though there was a bit of a decrease, say, in 101, or I'm sorry, 1010-585, which is speaker services, that it still remains quite a healthy budget, even though there was, I think it was a $146,000 decrease in that one specific area, but it still leaves quite a bit of funding for speaker services.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
Yeah.
So that budget increased throughout the year. That budget is actually more than our original '23 budget. So as we go through the year, we will reevaluate if it needs to be increased or.
Oh, okay.
So it was actually, I think, almost double what the original '23 budget was. So though it looks like a decrease on
Right,
paper, it's
right.
actually more than the original '23 budget.
Oh, okay. So I hear what you're saying, that initially it was projected to be at a certain amount, but as time went on through the year, there was more funding that was added. So the ending budget looks higher than the original projected FY '23.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right, well, thank you very much for that clarification. I really appreciate it. The work that's being done in language, whether we're talking about language technology, we're talking about, the expansion of the immersion school, we're talking about grant programs like the Institute of Excellence. And I know that you personally have, there's been blood, sweat, and tears that have gone into those grant programs and grant funding that have created jobs for individuals in, many of whom are first language fluent speakers who are being employed at a greater rate and at a greater compensation level than they ever have been previously. So I really am personally appreciative of the work that you do, and I know that oftentimes grant writing can, there are unsung heroes. And I just want you to know how deeply appreciated the work is that you do, that your staff does, and that the language department does.
Thank you. You know that it is my mission always to grab every competitive federal dollar that we can for our language programs. And that's something that I look at on a daily basis, and that's always my goal.
Right, because the work with grants does not stop when you turn the grant in and get the award letter.
Absolutely
Then
not.
you're on administration and making sure that you actually do what you say you're going to do, that you're doing the reporting. So, again, just very appreciative of the work that you do.
Thank you.
Thank you for the time, Chair.
Thank you. All right, do we have any more questions for language? All right, doesn't look like it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Let's see here, let's move on to public health, and I think we have Shannon Fields with us.
Hi, I'm Shannon. I'm standing in for Lisa today. You have our budgets. If you have any questions, I will try to answer them for you.
All right, do we have any questions for public health? All right, doesn't look like we have any questions.
thank you.
All right, looks like we're still waiting on a few folks to come report, so let's go ahead and take a 10-minute break and resume it. Looks like 1:21. I will save him for the end. And we'll start off with the Housing Authority with Todd and Jerry.
Good afternoon. So for the budget that you guys have here that's associated with the Housing Authority, a lot of the work that we're currently doing is related to Housing Job Sustainable Communities Act. It's actually funded under ARPA, so what you see in front of you is actually mostly NAHAS-related budgets, things that we normally get on an annual basis, either competitive or through our IHBG. So the budgets there are, in most cases, fairly flat. There is a total decrease of 8.5 million across those budgets. A lot of those are one-time funds that have been expended and not replenished. So that's in summary what you see before you on the Housing Authority. There's still a lot of good work going on under the funds being used from ARPA. We have a lot of projects still underway associated with that, but that's the budget you see before you. Have about anywhere between 250 and 260 employees on a regular basis. That number fluctuates, obviously, as people leave and come in and go out, but we hover around that mark and intending to keep all of those employees busy and active. Any questions that you may have?
All right, we have any questions for Todd and Jerry? Yep, Tom and Jerry.
Oh.
Well, everybody likes Jerry.
Not so much Tom. Got it. Yeah.
All right.
Tell everybody they love me kind of like a heart attack. You know, it shows up, you're just like, not so much.
All right, I'm not seeing any questions.
All right.
Thank y'all.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate y'all.
All right, let's move over to Cherokee Publications with Tyler Thomas.
Hey.
How are you?
Good. How are y'all?
Good. All right, do we got any questions for Tyler?
Awesome.
All right, doesn't look like any. Thank you, sir. All right, then that moves us over to Tribal Council with Jody Reese.
Save the best for last here. So. Of course, our budget almost was flat, but being heavily in salaries and fringe in our budgets, our two big budgets, I did have to go up just a little bit. The total went up 2%. I've tried to incorporate some of the cost of the pay raises in out of the other line items, but did have to go up just a little bit. I wanted to touch base on the Secretary of State budgets and stuff earlier that was discussed on position changes. Those impacts, I would recommend we do those through the budget mod process. I mean, they're going to get you updated list and stuff like that, but their budgets are kind of like ours, half IDC, half gen fund, so we increase the gen fund a little bit and have to change another budget to reduce the reserve by appropriation, increase the IDC budgets a little bit, increase the collection budget, and then that in turn would impact the total our reserve budget that's based upon the comprehensive budget. That had to be increased, so you had to take that money out of the reserve by appropriation account. So to make the $20,000 or $30,000 change or whatever, I haven't seen the numbers on it yet. It would be very involved to do that through this process. I mean, we can make sure it gets in on the first budget mod. There's actually a couple of other things myself and the finance folks have found during the process that we need to put in the first budget mod coming up this very first one of the month. So, but if there's any questions, I go ahead and take questions at this point.
All right, do we have any questions for Jody? Joe?
Well, you're gonna talk about procedure, some of us had some questions about the procedure and wanting to do some different things, allocating money and finding money. There was a couple of things that come up that we were wanting to talk about. We just wanna know what the procedure is. How do we go about that to supplement certain things we wanna do, not now as an amendment, but
Right.
later in the month, if we come up with something to amend, say an office in each district, which just pulled out of the air.
Right.
Something like that, what would the procedure be for us as a council to help the new council tell us the procedure to go about doing that?
As far as, for a council budget,
Yeah.
or as far as?
Council budget.
That generally comes up, as a discussion item, usually in rules or something that are like that, if you want to change a policy or change some, employment situations or anything like that, that would be a discussion item that the whole council would vote on.
And that includes the funding part of it as well?
Yeah,
So
once
you could-
we have the authority from the council to want to do that, then it would be my responsibility then to work with finance to, find the
money.
funding.
It's always a find the money thing.
Yeah,
So that was all I had, Chair, so. I don't know if anybody-
Okay, all right. Got any more questions for Jody?
Contessa? Just a comment.
All right.
I did want to thank, I know everybody keeps thanking the finance department on all their work and everything, but they got me everything ahead of schedule this year, and that's much appreciative from my part. Helps me get a jump start on it, and was able to get the books ready for the new council coming in for their first day of orientation. That's really helpful to have the new information to be able to go over with them, so that helped me.
I haven't said nothing all this time, but thank you, Judy, for what you do. You're appreciated for everything that you do.
All right, thank you.
All right, any other questions? Thank you, Jody. All right, well.
I'll just give you the numbers, we're looking at, the original numbers is, 3 million and 3 billion. 3 billion, on the operating, 3 billion plus, and then 753 million on the capital for the 3,788,110,475 for the total of the two budgets. And we'll have the acts ready for the council meeting, so.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, we've gone through everyone, and like I said earlier, this not a task we want to take for granted. I know we'll probably have more questions following up, so if anyone has questions, let's just keep them going in. We'll get them to the appropriate members in each department, and more importantly, we want to say thank you to Financial Resources and all the, our employees. I mean, basically, their dedication, their hard work is what makes this a enjoyable task, where we can work with them and see how we can better our tribe and our people. So I just want to say thank you to each and everyone here today. We have a motion and a second on the floor. I'll go ahead and we'll go take this for a vote. Yeah, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Thanks, everyone. All right, I need another motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Oh, wait, speaker?
I've been asked to make this announcement against all odds. We won second place in the parade division, our float did. Yeah.
It's the OU buckets, man.
So I think it has to go in each councilman's office each month. So yeah, we're going to start with the new Poindexter. He's got it first. So and one other thing. Just got a text saying Governor Stitt appointed West No Fire as his Indian liaison. So that's all I got.
All right, thank you, sir. We got a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, we're adjourned.
Yeah, if you want. Here, come get it.